I'm so glad you're here with us today. We're diving deep into A Course in Miracles, and if you're just joining our community, you might be wondering what this course is all about. I'd love to invite you to check out the very first video on this channel, where I break down exactly what A Course in Miracles is, how it came to exist, and why it's been transforming lives for over 5 decades. It'll give you the perfect foundation for everything we explore together here. Now today we're exploring one of the most profound sections in chapter 15 of the text, the holy instant and the attraction of God. And I have to tell you, this is one of those topics that can completely shift how you experience your daily life. Because here's what ACIM is telling us. There's an attraction within you that's more powerful, more natural, and more irresistible than anything you've ever felt. It's the attraction of God, pulling you toward peace, toward love, toward your true nature. And the only reason you're not experiencing it fully right now is because you've been trained to resist it. Think about that for a moment. The Course is saying that your natural state is to be drawn toward God, toward wholeness, toward complete peace. It's not something you need to achieve or earn. It's not something that requires years of spiritual practice or perfect behavior. This attraction is already there, built into the very fabric of who you are. So why aren't we all living in constant peace and joy? Why does it feel so hard to access that divine connection? That's exactly what we're going to unpack today. Because the answer isn't what you might expect. It's not that God is distant, or that you're not worthy, or that you haven't done enough spiritual work. The Course makes it crystal clear. The only thing blocking this natural attraction is the ego's fear of it. Yes, the ego is actually terrified of what happens when you experience the holy instant, when you allow yourself to feel that pull toward God. And it has very specific reasons for that fear. Throughout this video, we're going to explore 3 essential aspects of this dynamic. First, we'll look at what this attraction of God really is according to A Course in Miracles, and why it's described as the most natural thing in existence. We'll see how the ego has distorted your perception of this attraction, making you believe that what you truly want is actually something to fear or avoid. Then we'll dive into the ego's resistance itself. We'll examine why the ego fights so hard against the holy instant, what it's actually afraid of losing, and the clever strategies it uses to keep you from responding to God's call. Understanding this resistance is crucial because once you see it clearly, it loses much of its power over you. Finally, we'll explore how the holy instant serves as the gateway to experiencing this divine attraction fully. We'll look at what actually happens when you stop resisting, when you allow yourself just one moment of complete openness to God's love. And we'll discuss the practical effects this has on your everyday experience, your relationships, your sense of peace. This section of chapter 15 is deeply connected to everything we've been exploring about the holy instant. If you've been following along with this chapter, you've already been building the foundation for understanding today's topic. And if this is your first time here, don't worry. I create content every single day exploring different aspects of A Course in Miracles, so you'll have plenty of opportunities to deepen your understanding. What I love about this particular teaching is how practical it is. This isn't abstract philosophy. The Course is giving you a roadmap for experiencing something real, something transformative, something available to you right now. So let's explore together what it means to stop resisting the most natural attraction in the universe, and what opens up when we allow the holy instant to reconnect us with our true nature. Let me ask you something. What's the strongest pull you've ever felt in your life? Maybe it was falling in love, or the drive to pursue a dream, or the need to protect someone you care about. Whatever it was, it felt irresistible, right? Like something inside you was being drawn toward it with a force you couldn't fully control. Well, according to A Course in Miracles, there's an attraction within you that makes all of those feelings look like whispers. It's the attraction of God, and it's calling to you every single moment of every single day. Here's what the Course wants you to understand. This attraction isn't something mystical or far away. It's not reserved for saints or spiritual masters. This is your natural state. Think of it like gravity. You don't have to believe in gravity for it to work. You don't have to earn the right to be affected by gravity. It just is. The attraction of God works the same way. It's a fundamental force in your spiritual reality, constantly drawing you toward wholeness, toward peace, toward your true identity as God's creation. But here's where it gets interesting. The Course tells us that this divine attraction is actually the most natural thing in existence. More natural than breathing, more natural than your heartbeat. You were created by love, from love, as an extension of love itself. So of course you're attracted to love. Of course you're drawn toward peace, toward truth, toward God. It's not a choice you make. It's not something you develop through practice. It's what you are. Now contrast this with what the ego offers you. The ego presents you with thousands of attractions every day. It tells you that happiness is in that relationship, in that achievement, in that purchase, in that validation, in being right, in being special, in being safe from threat. And here's the ego's trick. It takes your natural attraction toward God, toward wholeness, toward love, and it redirects it toward all these external things. It's like taking a river and splitting it into 1,000 tiny streams. The power is still there, but it's fragmented, weakened, confused. The ego's attractions always come with conditions. They promise fulfillment, but deliver temporary satisfaction at best. They tell you that you'll be complete when you get that thing, achieve that goal, fix that problem, change that person. But the attraction of God is completely different. It doesn't promise you completion in the future. It offers you the recognition that you're already complete right now in this moment. And this is what the ego has distorted in your perception. It's convinced you that the pull toward God is something to be suspicious of, something dangerous, something that will cost you everything you value. It whispers that if you surrender to this divine attraction, you'll lose your individuality, your desires, your specialness, your very self. So it teaches you to be afraid of the one thing that would actually set you free. The Course is clear about this. Every moment you feel anxious, conflicted, or unfulfilled, you're experiencing the result of resisting God's attraction. You're fighting against your own nature. And that fight is exhausting. That resistance is what creates all your suffering. Because you can't actually destroy this attraction. You can only deny it, resist it, try to replace it with something else. But it never goes away. It's always there, patiently waiting for you to stop fighting and simply allow yourself to feel it. So if this attraction to God is so natural, so powerful, so much a part of who we really are, why does it feel so difficult to access? Why do most of us spend our entire lives feeling separated, anxious, and incomplete? The answer is both simple and profound. The ego is absolutely terrified of the holy instant. And when I say terrified, I mean it sees the holy instant as its complete annihilation. Let me explain why. The ego's entire existence depends on one thing: your belief that you are separate from God, separate from love, separate from everyone around you. That's it. That's the ego's whole foundation. Every thought system it has built, every defense mechanism, every desire and fear, all of it rests on this single premise of separation. So when you experience the holy instant, when you allow yourself even one moment of complete connection with God, what happens? That premise of separation dissolves, and with it, the ego's entire world collapses. Think about it like this. Imagine you've built an elaborate fortress to protect yourself from an enemy that doesn't actually exist. You've spent years reinforcing the walls, setting up defenses, staying vigilant. Your entire identity has become wrapped up in being the defender of this fortress. Now someone comes along and shows you that there's no enemy, there never was, and you're actually completely safe. What happens to the fortress? What happens to your role as defender? They become meaningless. That's what the ego faces in the holy instant. So the ego fights back with everything it has, and it's incredibly sophisticated in its strategies. First, it makes you believe that responding to God's attraction means losing yourself. It whispers that if you surrender to love, to peace, to God, you'll become nothing. You'll lose your personality, your desires, your individuality, everything that makes you special and unique. The ego paints a picture of spiritual surrender as a kind of death, an erasure of who you are. But here's the manipulation in that fear. The ego has convinced you that the small, limited, fearful identity it constructed is who you really are. So of course, letting go of that feels like death. The ego doesn't tell you that what you're actually releasing is the prison, not the prisoner. You're not losing yourself. You're losing the false self that was never really you to begin with. The ego's second major strategy is distraction. It keeps you so busy chasing its attractions, solving its problems, managing its dramas, that you don't have time or energy to stop and feel that pull toward God. It creates urgency around things that don't matter and makes you forget what does. It tells you that peace can wait until you've handled this crisis, achieved that goal, fixed that relationship, secured that outcome. But of course, there's always another crisis, another goal, another problem. The ego makes sure of that. And then there's guilt. Oh, the ego loves guilt. It convinces you that you're not worthy of God's love, that you've done too much wrong, that you need to fix yourself first before you can experience the holy instant. It sets up impossible standards and then condemns you for failing to meet them. This is particularly insidious because it uses your desire for God against you, turning it into another source of pain. The most powerful illusion the ego maintains is this, that you have something to lose by accepting God's attraction. It makes you believe that the temporary pleasures, the special relationships, the personal achievements, the individual identity you've built are valuable treasures that will be taken away. But the Course is telling you something radically different. You're not being asked to lose anything real. You're being invited to trade illusions for truth, pain for peace, fear for love. The ego just makes the illusions look so convincing that you're afraid to let them go. Now here's where everything shifts. Here's where the Course offers you something incredibly practical and immediately accessible. The holy instant isn't some mystical achievement that requires years of meditation or spiritual perfection. It's simply a moment, just one moment, where you choose differently, where you stop resisting God's attraction and allow yourself to feel it. And in that single moment, everything changes. Let me break down what actually happens in the holy instant. All those barriers the ego has constructed, all that resistance we just talked about, they require one thing to maintain their power: your decision to keep them in place. The ego needs your constant agreement, your ongoing belief in separation, your active participation in fear. The moment you withdraw that agreement, even for an instant, the barriers simply fall away. Not because you destroyed them, but because they were never real to begin with. Think of it like this. Imagine you're in a dark room and you've convinced yourself that the darkness is solid, that it's a real thing you need to fight against or overcome. But then someone shows you that all you need to do is flip the light switch. The darkness doesn't go anywhere. It simply reveals itself as the absence of light. That's what the holy instant does with all your fears, all your resistance, all your sense of separation. When you allow yourself to experience the holy instant, when you surrender to God's attraction even for a moment, you're not gaining something new. You're remembering what was always true. You're feeling the love that was always there. You're recognizing the peace that never actually left. The Course calls this recognition, not achievement. And that distinction is crucial. So what does this look like in practical terms? What are the actual effects of allowing this attraction in your daily life? First, there's an immediate sense of relief. That exhausting fight you've been waging against your own nature simply stops. The anxiety that comes from trying to find completion in external things begins to fade. You start to recognize that the peace you've been seeking everywhere else was inside you all along. But it goes deeper than that. When you experience the holy instant, your perception of everything shifts. Your relationships transform because you're no longer looking to other people to complete you or validate you. Your challenges become opportunities for learning rather than threats to your safety. Your sense of purpose clarifies because you're no longer driven by the ego's endless demands and fears. And here's what's beautiful. Each holy instant makes the next one easier. Every time you choose to stop resisting, to feel that pull toward God, to allow yourself a moment of complete openness to love, you're weakening the ego's hold on your mind. You're training yourself to recognize the difference between the ego's false attractions and the one real attraction that can actually fulfill you. The Course promises you this. The holy instant is always available. Right now, in this moment, regardless of what's happening in your life, regardless of what you've done or haven't done, regardless of how you feel, you can choose to stop resisting. You can allow yourself one moment of complete willingness to experience God's love. Just one moment where you say, I don't know what this will look like, but I'm willing to feel the truth. That willingness is the key that unlocks everything. Not perfect faith, not complete understanding, not flawless behavior, just willingness, just the slightest opening in your resistance. And God's attraction does the rest. Because it's not something you create, it's something you allow. It's not something you achieve, it's something you accept. And it's been waiting for you, patiently, lovingly, since the moment you first believed in separation. So here we are. We've explored the attraction of God, the ego's resistance to it, and the holy instant as the gateway to experiencing your true nature. And I hope you can feel, even just a little bit, how accessible this really is. You don't need to wait. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing for one moment to stop resisting the most natural force in your existence. If you have questions related to A Course in Miracles, leave them in the comments. Once a week, I create a Q&A video where I answer your questions. To have your question featured, just send a super thanks in any amount. The beauty of A Course in Miracles is that it gives us these profound insights, not as abstract philosophy, but as practical guidance for transforming our daily experience. Every teaching, every concept, every principle is designed to help you remember who you really are and to release the fears that keep you from experiencing that truth. If this video resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you'd take a moment to hit that like button. It helps me reach more people who are searching for these teachings. And if you're not already subscribed to this channel, please consider subscribing. I create content about A Course in Miracles every single day, exploring different aspects of the text, the workbook, and how these principles apply to our lives. You'll be joining a growing community of people committed to waking up from the ego's dream. And please, share this video with someone who might benefit from it. These teachings are meant to be shared, to be spread, to reach everyone who's ready to hear them. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for your willingness to explore these teachings, for your openness to questioning everything the ego has taught you, and for your courage in choosing peace over fear, love over separation. I'll see you tomorrow with new content. Until then, be willing to experience just one holy instant today. That's all it takes to begin everything.